god, did you see his numbers again? Yeah, he's been at the bottom for like a month.
Come on, you scrubs! To arms!
Lex might be a little too far from the mic. Maybe get a little closer.
It's touching my face.
Not another spider!
I was not protected. Oh yeah, doesn't work with fall damage.
I was standing in the pool because I thought we had silted.
Ooh, so I was sitting at my desk, and I drowned in the Strowman Canal.
No, Jim, I don't want to hear about your chaos bolt.
What, you want me to dispel? I don't even have that on my action bars.
Stop standing in the fire!
What fire?
Alright, pre-pot, and tricks to the trade. Oh, that was the healer.
What just killed me there? Yep, physical damage. So bad at playing a demon hunter.
Oh my god, we did it.
You're listening to Scrubs vs. the World with your host, Syra.
And welcome into the show, everyone. Tonight, we're going to dive into pet battles. And joining me is DragonsAfterDark. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. It's like 1,000 degrees out here, though, so...
It has been pretty hot.
Yeah. Well, I live in Oregon, and whenever it gets above 80... That's when I'm tapping out. Where's the AC? Where's the lake? Get me out of here.
We used to live in Washington State. And
oh, nice.
We built a house out there, and they tried to tell us when we first moved there, we don't build houses out here with air conditioning. And I'm like, well, first of all, you're insane.
Yeah.
So when we built our house, the first thing I said after the lady and I introduced each other, I said, I don't know where you need to put it in your book, but I want AC.
It is a necessity. I don't care what anybody says. You got to have AC.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Fortunately, my house does. I'm very lucky with that. But it's still, like this room, as the people can't see this or chat here, but there's a computer right next to me, and then my computer is right here. So it's just like a sweat shop of awesome. But that's my own fault for setting it up this way. What are you going to do? Got to use the space, right?
There you go.
Well, cool. So, yeah, thanks for coming on. And I need help with pet battling because that's like the one thing that I've been wanting to talk about for so long and just for whatever reason haven't got to it yet.
Saving the best for last.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a great time to do it because Shadowlands is right around the corner. So now we have, well, not much time, really. Because I know pre-patch is in the PTR, so
it is. It's going to be right around the corner, maybe a little sooner than some people were thinking, and other people are like, no, they're just doing that to give people something to do. So I think people are on the fence about if it means sooner, doesn't mean sooner. So
right. Well, hopefully this episode comes out before all that stuff, but we'll see. Well, cool. So before we dive in, let's get to know you a little bit. Is it cool if I call you Dragons going forward?
It's totally fine.
Okay. I just want to make sure. I don't want to assume.
Yeah.
So how long have you been playing the World of Warcraft?
It'll probably be just about 15 years this year because I started playing sometime in 2005. Mm-hmm. So, and I kind of joke that it's the best thing to come out of my relationship with my ex-boyfriend because basically he got the game, I think, not long after release. And he said, you need to play this. He bought me a copy. He, sat me down. But then he said, figure it out. So
oh, no.
I've been playing since vanilla, but I don't consider myself a vanilla player because I pretty much just ran around the Barrens on my Troll Shaman, not doing anything, not figuring anything out. I did not figure it out. And finally when BC rolled around, there were a couple of people leveling their blood elves through the area, and they took pity on me and invited me into their guild and taught me how to play.
Oh, that's cool. Well, it's got a nice ending to it.
There you go.
Yeah. That sucks, though.
Yeah, that was pretty crappy of him. Just, here you go, figure it out.
Oh, geez. Well, at least you're in the world, right?
That's very true.
And here we are. That one decision somehow led us to this point in time.
Exactly. It's the only game I play, so, I mean, it worked out in the end.
Yeah. I mean, this game, I can't stop playing it. and with all the other games coming out, I'm just like, it's too much.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go back to what I know. So here we are.
There you go.
Well, cool. So what is your favorite race, class, and spec to play?
So I started out learning a healer, and I do enjoy healing. Unfortunately, I learned at a time where dungeons were very paced. And so you were drinking before each pull, you were, setting up CC. And so with the pace of how people run dungeons now, I pretty much just stick with DPS because I just get frustrated as a healer. Because it's just like, you can say in the chat and they're like, we're just going to keep going. It's fine. Yeah. And I'm like, but then don't get mad at me if you die. Right. But so I main a Tauren Paladin, Retribution Paladin, because I need that forgiveness that the class has. The heals, the bubbles. I kind of need that forgiveness in a DPS class. So, but I think my heart will always belong to the trolls. I really love playing trolls, but I wanted to play a Paladin. So until the Zandalari trolls came around, I couldn't do troll Paladins. It was just Taurens. Yeah. So my main's actually a Tauren.
Oh, that's cool. Now, I played since way back in the day as well. So I used to be very, very hard line. Alliance or bust. Any horde garbage was not accepted. But now that I've gotten older, I've accepted. Well, I think it's the storylines. But anyways, enough about me. Are you like that? Or do you kind of toe the line and bat for both teams, if you will?
So I do have characters on both, simply because I like to get, there are certain things you can only get on one faction or another, and pets are included in that. And so I do have a full set of Alliance characters. They're certainly not the ones I play the most. I definitely would consider myself, if someone, was like, hey, you have to choose, I'm Horde for life. You know what? 5 years ago, Sai would have been like, that is garbage. But today, I respect that. And honestly, like, when the High Mountain Tauren came through, that I almost flipped. I almost went Horde. And I was like, because I just love them. I love their aesthetic. I love the Taurens anyway. They are really cool. Like, I like their horns more. I definitely like the High Mountain Tauren horns more. And I think at that point when they first came out, they were the only ones that could do like the tribal painting tattoos and stuff. Yeah. And so that I was like, yeah, I'm on board with that. I like that. Yeah, that
was super cool. And I was like, oh my goodness, I might have to switch. I almost did that with the Maghar orcs too, because they have the war paint.
Yes.
Like, this is cool. But I know Shadowlands is offering some more stuff like that across the board. So
yeah, it's looking to be a really, a few tweaks, but really good expansion. I'm looking forward to Shadowlands.
I think so. I think they're listening. Like, I really think they're taking in the input from the community, and I just hope we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, right. We ask for these things, and they give them to us, and we're like, so this wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
I hope this isn't the expansion of the I told you so.
Right.
And they're just like, this is why we didn't do that, guys.
Right? Like, you asked for it, we listened, we've given you everything you want, and now you're still not happy. It's like, this is why we do things the way we do things.
So the next one, I don't want to hear anything.
Right? No complaining, nothing.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that would be pretty funny. No, but in all seriousness, like, I can't wait. Super exciting. But, so, speaking of Shadowlands, what's your biggest goal you'd like to achieve before we get to that point?
I'm passively working on the Longboy. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to make it. I don't I think I'm just shy of, like, 2.5 million. So I'm totally not going to make it, especially with, like, the auction house tanking the way it is. But I figure, at worst, it just means I have a whole bunch of gold sitting around for pets
Yeah,
when Shadowlands comes out. So, I mean, I'm winning either way.
There you go. Yeah, I just finished my quest for my first million. And I did it the hard way because I just got impatient. Because I put stuff on the auction house and it wouldn't sell. Well, now they've connected our server to a couple other ones. And I know this recording's happening on August the 16th of 2020. So when this episode comes out, it's going to be out for a few weeks or the switch will, or the combination of the servers, if I can speak English, would be out for a couple weeks. So I'm hoping that kind of helps. Because I came from, like, I'm on Garrosh, which is a tiny little server. And, like, you can make money, but you have to be patient. And for whatever reason, I'm not patient with the auction house. So I'm not going to get a long boy.
Give me my gold.
That's right. I went and got the things just for you.
Right.
And somebody else put 5,000 of the same thing for like 10 gold less than me. It's probably my guilty. That's right, Callie here. I'm talking to you, buddy. It's probably you. He got his long boy quick, and he's like a warlock, like an actual real life warlock with the auction house. So
there are a few just like, people who it clicks for them and they can just make gold like hand over fist, and it's like, I'm not that person. I get my gold through like emissaries and paragons, and that's pretty much my only gold source.
That's exactly where I'm right there with you. I know I can get this here, so I'm going to just do that.
There you go.
That's awesome. So here's kind of a fun question. Well, I think it's fun. I don't know if you do, but we'll find out. Of the creatures in WoW, what's one that is not a pet currently that you would like to see turned into a pet?
So there's a pet trainer or tamer on the Timeless Isle called Little Tommy Newcomer. And when you battle him, he only has one pet that fights you, but it's this huge armored devil soar.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I don't need one that big, but I'd love to have just like a line of armored devil swords, like maybe a skeleton one, maybe like the more gold one from I'd like to see, armored devil swords. I mean, there's a ton of models in the game that we have that aren't pets. That would be really cool. Like the Dark Hounds, so the ones that look like the Dark Iron Dwarves hunter starters, so those guys. And then the Helheim Hounds, which are kind of like the Cerberus looking guys. So those would be really cool as well. I think it's funny. So there's this, it's not exactly a conspiracy, but kind of. There are no ducks in WoW. We have 0 ducks. There are no duck models anywhere.
That is weird.
And I was kind of hoping with they like their memeing kind of, reference stuff in WoW, and I was really hoping that when Untitled Goose Game got really popular, that we'd get like a goose or something, but no dice so far.
Oh no. Well, we got seagulls.
We do. We have lots of seagulls.
Which is, I mean, we're on the path, but you're right. Like, now that I think about it, I've never seen a duck, like even a critter.
Nope, no ducks.
And you think there's a lot of places you could put them, too.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, maybe the art was just too much and they had to cut it. No malice. Well, I'm a huge Oregon fan, so I would love to have ducks as well. Because college mascots are the weirdest.
Yeah. They do get kind of funny sometimes, don't they? Like, you get the typical ones, like the big predatory animals, and then ducks.
And then a duck. But fun fact, though, Disney actually made Puddles for the longest time. He drew Puddles the duck. I think he did Arizona State's mascot, too, the Sun Devil. So, but yeah, if you want to know. But I think there is... I think the Puget Sound, I want to say like the Puget Sound gooey ducks, which is not a duck.
It's like a mussel thing.
Yeah, it's like a picture like a giant slug sea creature thing.
Yep.
So that's random. But there's your random mascots of the day.
There you go.
That should be pets. We should find gooey ducks.
Yeah, we don't have mussels either. No mussel pets. No
No?
mussel pets that I can think of. Closest thing are probably the crabs, just with the shells and...
Yeah. Well, you have fish and bubbles.
We do. We have quite a few fish and bubbles.
But I don't know how you'd make a slug.
Well, I mean, we have slugs.
Do we?
We have slugs
snails,
and
right?
Well, we have snails and slugs.
Okay.
Najdatar, we've got like a muck slug, and so we've got a couple slugs.
Yes. Okay. See? We're learning things. This is great. Well, cool. So, going to the next question here. What would you say is your favorite pet?
So it's really hard for me to choose because, I have 12 I have over 1,200 pets. So it's really difficult for me to choose. So on ZooFoos, you can actually choose your favorite pet, and that'll display on your profile. And I have the feline familiar, just because I love that when you mount, it hops on a broomstick and flies behind you, and it's got a witch's hat, and so it's just it's a really cool pet for that reason. But it's really hard to pick. I wouldn't say that that's like my absolute standout favorite. It was just the one when I made my account. I was like, okay, we'll just choose this one. There are so many that I like for so many different reasons that it's even hard to just pick one from each family. So it's like, I don't know. They're all really cool. I'm really a fan of some of the new models coming out in Shadowlands too, especially the ones coming out of like Maldraxxus, like the Bloodlouse hatchling. Like he's like a stitched together blood feaster, and he's really adorable, and I love it.
Oh, that's cool. Have you seen I've seen a bunch of artists already draw the gooey cat,
jelly
cat.
Yeah. That's gonna be it's the Maldraxxus renowned pet. So we haven't seen it outside of the journal, so we don't know like exactly what it entails to get it, if it's just gonna be on the vendor or what have you. But yeah, you're gonna have to be a Necrolord to get that one.
Well, good thing for me is I've been planning on that one anyway.
That's what I chose on beta. I chose Necrolord. I'm like, I kind of really like the feel of the zone, and it's really awesome. So I think my main's going to be a Necrolord. That's cool.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Like whenever I see like the min-max stuff, and again, I'm not bagging on min-max folks, but whenever they say play this, my brain goes, I'm going to go play that because you told me to play this. And then eventually I as the expansions go on, I go back towards what I should have been doing in the first place. But that's why, because I do a healer as well. But I just I like the idea of the Necrolords, and they've been around for so long, and it's kind of fun to go see, what makes the Scourge tick. So
yeah, it's a really interesting zone. I like probably my favorite NPC that I've encountered out there is a Plague Deviser. I think it's Marileth, I think is his name. And he's just like in all of this, the strong will prevail, and they're the soldiers of the Shadowlands, and he's just he's so wholesome. He's so nice. He calls you his apprentice, and he's like, you're doing a wonderful job. And
he's all excited.
I love you, Plague Deviser.
Awesome.
You're the best.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to see that. But I mean, it's stuff like that. Like, I'm sure there's some healing thing in like Ardenweld or something that I should do, but no, man.
Right?
I want my Jellycat, dang it.
There you go. Jellycats, Necrolords. And I mean, the title's cooler there anyway, so.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think my favorite pet, and this is probably... I got this one, it just surprised me, because it's the Perky Pug. So I know it's the one you get when you did LFG. I think you did like 10 of them or something, and you get the Perky Pug. I think it's still active, right?
Yes, yeah, I'm pretty sure you can still get it.
But I also love the movie Labyrinth, so I named my Perky Pug Ambrosius, because there's a little fox captain guy, and his dog mount is named Ambrosius.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll randomly scream at my computer monitor, like, Ambrosius! Get over here! And so then he's dragging his little butt across the screen or whatever.
Yeah, they're really obsessed with the dogs dragging their butts across the floor, especially the corgis. The corgis do it too. The molten corgi actually like leaves a trail of fire behind him when he does it on the ground.
That's so good. But when the first time, the Perky Pug, first time it did that, I about died. So I was like, okay, this is the greatest pet I've ever seen, and he's gonna go with me everywhere. So, all right, cool. Well, now let's get into the nuts and bolts of things here. So, pet battling, obviously, is a way to collect pets. For someone who's not interested or maybe hasn't looked into it or is new to the game and doesn't even know what pet battling is, let's start there. Like, what is pet battling?
So, pet battling in WoW gets compared to Pokemon a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
But I haven't played Pokemon probably since, Red and Blue version. So, from what I remember of Pokemon, it was just, you get this pet that is going to do strong damage against the enemy, and as long as you're of equal level or higher, you're going to win, no matter what. Mm-hmm. And certain fights like that in WoW are the same, but there's a little more strategy that goes into other fights. Sometimes you can just grab, like a mechanical pet if you're fighting a beast, and you'll hit it, kill it, and you're good to go. Other times you need something that's a little more, targeted for that pet. But pet battling, just a quick blurb on it, it's like Pokemon, right? Like you've got all of these pets, they're in different families, and certain families do strong or weak damage against other families, and the objective is, just like in anything else in the game, beat it up till you win.
Pretty straightforward.
Yep, right?
Yeah. And, how would you, like, if you're new to the game, or if, let's say, a friend comes in, how would you help your friend get into pet battling?
So we actually just made a new guide on the site about this, because it's a question we do get a lot. Like, how do I get started in this? And the short answer is that you need to go to your faction's main capital. So if you're Horde, you need to go to Orgrimmar, and if you're Alliance, you need to go to Stormwind. And for Horde, you're going to be going over to the near the Flight Master, and you'll see this orc kind of standing behind him and the 3 faction vendors, and he's got some cages by him, and his name is, I think it's Varzok. Yep, Varzok. And you talk to him, and he gives you, just like everything else in the game, he gives you quests that kind of introduce you to all of the different things, and it unlocks your battle slots. First of all, obviously, you need your pet battle slots if you're going to pet battle. And then it'll teach you about, healing your pets, capturing pets, and how to track pets. So for the wild pets out in the world. So they'll teach you those things, they'll walk you through it, and then they'll send you off out into the world to battle the first tamers in Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor. And for Alliance, you guys have to go a little further away from your Flight Master over toward the Cataclysm portals, and you'll see Audrey Burnhep, and then she does the same thing on Alliance side that Varzok does for the Horde. So... But they'll send you out, and it's progressive. It's just like Pokemon, you're progressively battling through the different tamers to unlock the dailies. And I think you have to do that for pretty much every zone that has dailies until Legion. Because Legion, they turn into world quests instead of daily.
To kind of piggyback onto that, if you're looking for those tamers, I know if you open your map, I think the tamers show up there. So if you highlight a zone, it'll show you which tamer and which pet level is associated with that zone.
Yeah, so the tamers will come up as little green paws on your map, which is the general pet battle symbol, is that little paw. And under the zone levels, so the level that it shows for pet battles, that'll tell you what level the wild pets are for that zone. So... once you get all that done, really the first thing you want to do is get your first pet to level 25. Because you can't uncage a pet that's higher than your highest level in the journal. So if you have all level 1 pets in your journal, you can't just run to the auction house and grab a level 25 and uncage it. You have to learn, or you have to get 1 pet to 25. And so we have that in our guide as well, because that's a big thing, is once you get it to 25, then you can grab, cheap pets on the auction house at level 25 to help expand your roster and be able to do more fights.
That's good to know, because I would have totally bought one.
It's happened a few times. It happens in the forums and on the Discord. People go, I bought this pet and it's not letting me uncage it. And it's like, well, what's your highest level pet in your journal? They're like, I don't know, level 6. And it's like, well, that's why.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Oh, geez. That would have been funny. Frustrating, but funny to look back at.
Yeah.
Well, nice. I know you mentioned earlier that each pet has a type or family.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember how many there are, but if there's not a billion of them...
There's 10.
There's 10, okay.
Yep.
What are those pet types, if we can run through the list real quick?
Yep. So we've got humanoids, dragons, flying, undead, critters, magic, elemental, beasts, aquatic, and mechanical. So they all do, strong damage against a certain family, and then they also do weak damage against a certain family. And obviously the inverse is true. They take strong damage and do, weak damage or take weak damage. So,
right.
Yeah, it gets probably the nicest combination that I think it was probably just an oops, is that the one family that does strong damage against a family and takes weak damage from the same family are elementals. I believe it's them. Yeah. So they take weak damage from mechanical pets, but they do strong damage against them, and they're the only combination like that.
Okay. So, like, if you get, like, a critter... Wait. A beast... Let me... Well... Oh my god. A puppy.
A puppy.
So the puppy isn't going to do... My brain isn't working today.
Oh, good.
So it'll do strong damage against... Which one would that be?
So dogs are generally labeled as beasts.
Beasts, okay.
Beasts are going to do strong damage against critters.
Okay.
So bunny rabbits. The dogs...
okay.
The dogs do strong damage against bunny rabbits and roaches and snails and things like that.
Which makes total sense. And then they take a lot of damage from...
Mechanical.
From mechanical, okay. So, is there a way, like, in-game to see that combination? Like, where can I look if I have a beast?
So, the best add-on that you can get if you're getting into pet battling is Rematch. So, the base UI journal isn't all that great. I mean, a lot of things in WoW can be described as that. It's like, it's okay, but add-ons make it a lot better.
Right.
And pet battling is no exception. So Rematch is a fantastic add-on. It expands a lot of your filter options, and it allows you to save teams to certain NPCs and fights, and it's a really great add-on. So it's the best way to go about doing that. But if all you have is the default UI journal, if you just click on a pet, and then it'll pop up in the top right portion of your default journal, and you mouse over the little family symbol, it'll tell you what it will take strong damage from and what it'll take weak damage from, or I think it might be, it'll tell you what it does strong damage against and weak damage against. And so you kind of have to do a little mental gymnastics sometimes without Rematch, because Rematch is nice because there's a little arrow that you can expand, and it'll give you all these little tabs, and it'll say, strong versus, weak versus, and all that. And so I use that a lot when I'm making strategies or checking strategies, and I need something that does strong damage against this family but is going to take weak damage from that family, and it'll give you a nice little list once you click those parameters, and because the families aren't limited to that family for their abilities.
Right. So
you could have a snail that's a critter, but it does ooze touch, which is magic damage. So that's really where the strategizing starts coming in, is you want something that is going to take weak damage from your enemy and is going to do strong damage against them. And so that's kind of where that strategizing and the filters are really helpful, and that's where that comes into play.
Yeah, because I know for me, I'll go through and I'll be like, oh, here's a bunny.
Here's a
And
bunny.
usually
There's a lot of
Ambrosius-
bunnies.
Yeah. Well, Ambrosius takes care of business because he's a
Yes.
beast. Mm-hmm. But then I'll run up against like a dragon, and bad things happen. So
Yeah. Dragons are... It's going to depend because each family has a racial bonus. So one of the things that might be happening with the Dragonkin is once they hit you below 50%, they get a bonus to their damage.
oh wow.
Yeah. So that's when, you're fighting them and then they get your pet below 50% and you see this nice little Dragonkin icon pop up. That means that you're going to take extra damage from them because they've dropped you below 50%. And every race kind of has something like that. Humanoids, they have a passive healing. So as long as they've dealt damage to the other team that round, they get a certain percentage of their health healed at the end of each round. Dragons have that bonus damage after they hit someone below 50%. Flying get a 50% speed buff as long as they're above 50% health. So if your flyer has 250 speed normally, until they drop below 50% health, they're going to have 500 speed or something like that.
Right.
Or not quite 500, but it's increased. So that's why a lot of people like flying pets, is because they're going to be fast and they can hit you more generally.
Right.
And then what magic is. Oh, magic can't take more than a certain amount of health per round. So like if you're fighting a magic pet, you don't want to use a lot of like big hit abilities because it's just not going to be as effective against them.
Right.
Beasts, when they drop below 50% health, they get a bonus to their damage. Mechs get to resurrect, so do undead, so they get an extra round. So undead's just going to get one extra round once they die. But mech pets will resurrect with a certain percentage of their health, and they can keep going until that runs out. And elemental, they don't suffer any poor effects from weather. So the different weathers that you can have in the pet battles, it doesn't impact them at all.
Wow, I didn't know the weather messed with them.
Yes.
So what would like rain do, for example?
So cleansing rain, it reduces the amount that your dots can have up. And it's funny, aquatics are good, sorry. I went off there for a little bit in my brain, but
No, you're fine.
so rain reduces the impact of dots by 1 round. So if you have a dot that you put on the other pet and it's for 3 rounds, if cleansing rain is up, you only get 2 rounds on that dot. And then it also, I believe, gives a bonus to aquatic damage.
Oh, okay. That's cool. And what are the other weather? Yes.
Yes, weather.
What other weather types are there?
Let's see. Give me 1 second. Shockingly, I don't have them all 100% memorized. But let's see. Okay. So you've got arcane winds, which while that's active, pets can't be stunned, rooted, or slept or anything. Basically, you can't use any kind of CC while that's up. Blizzard causes pets to be chilled, and they actually just changed that weather to where it gives I think it's a damage bonus. So you get a damage bonus for elemental attacks. So that really got buffed with a lot of the Christmas pets because they are, they're humanoid pets, but they do elemental damage, and they have Blizzard as one of their abilities. And so we actually had to go through and change some strats because they became more effective while using Blizzard. So the fights were ending a lot sooner, changing some of the rounds. So that was something that happened in 8.3. And we already talked about cleansing rain. Darkness causes all of your pets to be considered blind, so they get a percentage reduction to their hit chance. I don't know exactly the hit chance, but it reduces that.
Enough to annoy you, probably.
Yes, exactly. I'm not a big fan of Darkness, which does that, and then Sandstorm also does that. Sandstorm reduces the hit chance of everyone, and weather impacts everybody except, elemental pets like we talked about. And Sandstorm does the same thing. That one reduces it by 10%, so if you have a 100% hit chance ability, it reduces it down to 90. And Sandstorm also reduces the amount of damage your pets are going to be taking by a certain amount. Lightning Storm, that adds an extra damage to every attack, so Lightning Storm is really nice against beasts, and then if you have a pet that's using a multi-hit ability, they get that extra damage for every hit. Moonlight, I believe, increases healing. It might do something, I'm pretty sure it does something else, but I know for sure that it increases healing, and it increases the amount that magic attacks are going to hit for. Let's see. Scorched Earth. That one does... all pets are considered burning. And then, except for elemental pets, everyone's going to take a damage amount at the end of that round. Right. So, depending on the strength of Scorched Earth, because it's impacted by how powerful the pet was that cast it, that will determine how much your pet is going to get hit for at the end of that round. And then Sunny Day is interesting. It's probably one of the more annoying weather types, at least in PvP, because it basically increases your health by I think it's half. So if you've got 1,500 health on a pet normally, it doubles it. So then you've got the potential to have 3,000 health. And it does a bonus to healing stuff, which is why people really hate pets like Brute and Blossoming Ancient and Singing Sunflower, because they have that sunny day weather, and then they can throw on photosynthesis, and then especially the Blossoming Ancient, it has a shield type thing called, I think it's Iron Bark, where, it doesn't hit for very much, but it also reduces how much they're being hit for, so they can heal up really quick. And then the newest one that they added is called Toxic Fumes. And that one was added in 8.3, and it makes all of the pets on the field considered poisoned. And that one is the opposite of Cleansing Rain, in that if you've got that 3-round dot being applied, it's going to increase it to 4 rounds instead.
So if you're out in the wild, so let's say I'm in Dunmoreau, for example, and I'm up in the cold, blizzardy areas. If I do a pet paddle up there, I'm going to get the blizzard one.
No. Pet weather is its own. The pets have weather abilities.
Oh, okay.
So your pet will actually have to have a weather ability to impact the weather in the pet battle. But it's funny you should mention that, because there are certain pets that can only be caught during certain weather events in-game.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep, so the big ones are the baby ape out on Jaguaro Isle and Stranglethorn Vale, which it has its own weather pattern. So it could be raining in Stranglethorn Vale, but it won't be raining on the island. So you have to have that rain there for the baby ape. And let's see, in Storm Peaks, it's the fox kit, the Arctic fox kit, that's what it is. So it has to be snowing in Storm Peaks for that one to be up. And then you need one of the little Silithid bugs for, I think maybe it's the bug. It's either the bug or it's a bug of some form. It needs to be sandstorming in Tanaris. And unfortunately, they programmed the weather. They said it specifically. They programmed it to be as absolutely random as possible, so that people can't time it to know, oh, in
Exactly
like
where
5
this is
minutes
going.
it's going to snow in Storm Peaks. It's super random.
Oh, wow. I wonder why they did that. Just to keep it interesting, or
I suppose so. To annoy pet battlers, I'm sure.
interesting in quotes?
Yeah, interesting.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even know that. Like, this is... I think the neat thing about this mini game is like its own game.
It is. And I mean, you can spend, I mean, maybe not as much time as like me, because I'm, you know, I do a lot of stuff for pet battling in game, but there are some people who that's pretty much all they do in game, and you can spend a lot of time doing it.
Well, I mean, and just, I mean, if you're looking for that time passer that has that detail where, you know, you have to find that perfect matchup, and if you can't find the matchup, how do you deal with that, you know? So, I've never done a PvP pet battle.
I try to avoid them myself.
Okay. Well, I've done a good job avoiding them. Is there anything like that you would recommend, like someone like me who's never done one? Like, what should I think about if I'm making a PvP pet team?
Oh, you're going to want to
Sorry,
look... No, you're
Field
fine.
question.
It's totally fine. So you're going to want to look for synergy between the pets on the team. So there are a lot of names for them. Let me see if I can pull some up, because we do have a PvP section on Zufus that's just for that. Like, a lot of them are named. They have their own names. Like, darkness teams are where your pet's running, you know, call darkness, like we said earlier. And they're going to be pets that have a nice hard-hitting ability for when the weather's darkness. Like, I think Spectral Strike is one of them that'll hit harder, or it normally has like a 50% hit chance, but in darkness, it's increased to 100%. And then you've got Clone Dance, and that's basically where, you know, all of your pets in some way, they might not be the speediest, but you have one pet on the team that casts Dazzling Dance, and that makes everybody faster on your team, and then you can hit more often depending on certain abilities. Maybe Clone Dance isn't that. Dazzling Dance. Like I said, I don't do a whole lot of pet battles. So Sandstorm teams are basically that, you know, hit chance reduction, damage reduction, and you're trying to do that against teams that are, you know, maybe running a dot team to where the dots aren't going to hit for as much. And then AoE and cleave is exactly what it sounds like, is you have a team full of pets that's going to do damage to the entire team each time they're up. Bleeding is a dot one, so there are certain abilities that get bonuses to when the enemy pet's bleeding. And let's see, I think the most annoying one that I don't think we have it listed on the site, because it's kind of, for a while, it was that team that everybody really hated going against. And you can, like, we've had people send screenshots to where they've had 1,000-round pet battles fighting these teams.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, so Sunny Day team. Yeah, Sunny Day teams are the ones I was talking about earlier, where they have kind of that, you know, that little kind of shield ability, a healing, and then they've got the sunny day weather, and those fights can go on for a really, really long time.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
So they can get rounds?
Yes. I'm not joking. We have someone on our server who has a screenshot from where they went over 1,000 rounds with someone. And I mean, I was kind of the same. I did it very limited, because there's a pet you get for reaching 250 pet battles won. And so I decided to combine that with the family brawler. So you have to defeat the team using all of one family. So like all beasts, all mechs. And so I was like, we'll just combine that. How terrible can this be?
Famous last words.
Spoiler alert, it was pretty terrible. It's just because I'm not big on PvP anyway.
Right.
For me, the fastest way for me to lose enjoyment in the game is to go against other players. And apparently that transfers over into pet PvP. So I'm not the best person to talk to about pet PvP. But I know the general. I did my 250 battles, and I got out of that game.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. So how does that work? Now you pick your team first.
Yes.
And then you just get auto matched, and they just have whatever they picked. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. So you have to pick everything beforehand, and the Q button for it should be in your default UI or even your rematch. I'm pretty sure it's in that section to where you queue for the pet battle. And during non-pet weeks, it's actually really slow because like the pet community isn't a terribly large community to begin with. And then the PvP pet community is like even smaller within that. Like there's not a whole lot of like hardcore PvP pet people.
Yeah.
So the queues can be really long outside of pet battle week. But yeah, so you queue there and then you go against each other. You can't see the other person's name. You don't know who they are or anything like that. They do that just to, decrease that player toxicity that can kind of happen. Right. So you can't actually see them. The way most players get around that, if they are that kind of person, is they name their pets sometimes offensive or rude things. Right. Or just, like I think I went against one team that says, "Why are you even trying? You're gonna lose. You scrub," or whatever it was. Like I don't remember exactly what they said, but it was they do that. Like they'll name their pets. Yeah.
Inappropriate.
So they'll name their pets stuff like that, and I don't know that there's actually a reporting system to report that because you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So you can't. It's difficult, but I mean.
Well, I mean, I got a rule on my stream when I actually do stream. My number one rule is just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like 99% of the world's problems are solved just by not being a jerk.
That person, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would have taken it as a badge of honor being called a scrub. I'm like, well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
We know this. But yes, I totally get where you're coming from because that's just why.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, I like naming my pets funny names. Like, I have Ambrosius. He's one. I have a spider, the bone spider. I named him I'm On You.
No. That's scary.
Yeah. And I have a zombie guy. I can't remember what I named him. I named him, like, Daryl or something like that. I don't know. But
just Daryl.
Just random, yeah.
Yeah. Any of the pets I have that are named, I actually, when I stream on Twitch, whenever I get a sub, I let my sub name a pet from my roster.
Cool.
So what they do is they'll name the pet, and then I'll go out to some kind of location that's relevant to the pet, and I'll take a screenshot of them, and I post it on Twitter, and I give them all a little story.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing that.
I like that. That's a fun one. Yeah, because there's, like you said, you have 1,200 pets plus?
Yeah, so over 1,200 unique. I have duplicates of certain ones because I do a lot of testing. And for anyone who doesn't know, certain pets do have multiple breeds. So, if you've got this one pet and there's 5 different breeds, but this strategy says you need the fast breed or the speed breed, and I don't have that, then I've got to go out and I've got to grab the speed breed so that I can go test the strategy properly.
Right. That's cool. So, I know Pet Battles, like it's a little sub-game inside the game, and it's super fun, but I know a lot of people don't do things unless they benefit from it.
Yes.
So in your opinion, what are those benefits that, you should encourage people to do because it's going to give you XYZ thing?
So I'd have to say there's only 2 things. Mostly it's just supposed to be a fun side game that people don't feel obligated to do. But they kind of changed that a little bit I don't know if it was in Legion, but I know in BFA that the Pet Battle World Quests do reward reputation. And so it did not go over well with the general community. Feeling forced to do pet battles for that, in my opinion, what would be considered minuscule XP, but certain people who did the math are like, no, it's this much before you get to Exalted. So so in I don't know Legion, but I know for sure in BFA they award reputation. But what a lot of people don't realize is that one of the things they changed in BFA is they do scaling for the battles. So the enemy's pets at that point are not going to be any higher than the highest level on your team. So if you go into the fight with all level 1s, the enemy is going to be all level 1 as well. So that was kind of their, we know you guys really, some of you don't really want to do this, but we're making it easy for you because if you just go in with all level 1s, the enemy's going to be all level 1 as well. And at that point, some of them, you know, their slot 1 abilities are, because you only have one slot available at level 1 to use.
Right.
And some of them are pretty like, well, that's useless against me, and you can just kind of mow them down. But I think my biggest problem is like, I know I don't like feeling forced to do things in game that I don't want to do. But on the other hand, as a pet collector, I have to do every aspect of the game. You know, I've got to go into Mythic. I've got to go raiding. I've got to do PvP. I've got to do pet PvP. I've got, you know, you have to go do all of these things in game if you really want to have that really good collection. And to me, it's kind of like you're complaining about having to do one pet battle that you can do on a level 1.
And you have to spend hours upon hours sweating hard in those mythics.
Yeah, so it's one of those, okay, I mean, you can complain about it, I guess, but it's not as hard as you're making it out to be.
Right. No, I think that's cool that they dropped it to 1.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, I think being forced to try something, like, you can find that one little niche thing that you enjoy. Like, I actually like doing pet battles. I think it's fun. And I like it because they reuse the Warcraft 2 music.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, I love Warcraft 2, and the music always gets me pumped up. Like, I'll listen to it when I'm at work, just on YouTube, because I enjoy it that much.
Yeah.
So, I like listening to metal versions of them, but I want to do that. But I'm not good. But anyways, but yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. Like, it's a... I don't know. I think a lot of folks are, well, this is my time. It's my $15 a month. I want to do what I want to do. And it's like, well, there's millions of people playing this game. Yes. And if you don't want to do a 3-minute pet battle for 250 XP, but you calculate it out to the nth degree.
Yeah.
Like, I get, like, you're trying to speed it up. I get that, but...
Just don't do it.
Don't do it, or just get a level 1. Like,
and most of them don't take 3 minutes. I mean, most of pet battles are averaging out to like a minute and a half, depending on the fight. So they don't take that long at all. And
you're getting what you need, and you're on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have to do a little bit of research to see, okay, here's this pet. What kills this pet quickly? And you get a lot of stuff passively. Like, I have 17 void beetles because of the like the small visions.
Yes, the little visions. Those were a lot of beetles got flooded on the auction house once people started doing those. Lots of beetles.
There's so many beetles. We got a beetle problem out there.
We do. Apparently they are just infesting the vision. They're the real problem. Ends off the side, it's the beetles.
It's the beetles.
It's the beetles. The void beetles.
Yes. That'd be great if, like, the thing that launches us into Shadowlands is the Void Beetle Plague.
Right?
That gets released.
All of the beetles that didn't get sold on the auction house are now just, like, swarming over the main cities. And...
That'd be awesome. So many beetles.
Right?
Oh, jeez.
And
well,
then...
Cool. Well, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. The other thing that, I mean, I personally like to do, because I've leveled so much in the game, And especially, like I said, I don't play Alliance a whole lot. So once my characters hit 90, which I don't know what that will translate to in the next expansion, I like to park them out in Mist of Pandaria to do just the tamer circuit there. I usually get about a level on my character there, so certain fights will also get you character XP as well.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that's a good, like, especially if you're trying to take advantage of the XP buff that was given out.
Yep.
You know, and you want to do something else to break the monotony of leveling. That's a great way to do it.
Yep.
I've done that myself a couple times. It's like, God, I don't want to go through Duskwood again. Let's go see the trainer over by Jitters, and
there you go.
Yeah, get a level or two. Or if you have all the XP bonuses, like heirlooms and the potions and whatnot, like it. I think I got like a level just in that one fight. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Now I know there's also, like in PvE mode, there are pet battle dungeons, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Now, how do those work? Do you just go in? Can you alter your pet lineup, or do you have to select 3 and then go in and...
So, pet battle dungeons kind of work just like regular dungeons. So, you have access to your whole roster when you're going into a dungeon. And you're fighting a bunch of different battles until you get to the boss.
Right.
The final boss of the dungeon. And then when you finish that, or when you finish them off, every pet battle dungeon except Wailing Caverns gives you a currency that you get that you can use for the vendors to buy pets with. And so you go in with your whole roster, and generally the first time you get to do a healing mode, which means that after each battle you can heal your pets. I think Celestial Tournament's the only one that doesn't let you do that, but all the other ones do. And then once you go through that one time, you get the heroic version, and that's when you have to go through and you don't get to heal your pets. So once a pet's dead, it's dead. You don't get you don't get to use it again in that one. So that's kind of where Zufu's really comes in. I mean, we have strats for every single pet fight in the game. But the big section are the dungeons, because you kind of have to, formulate out your teams so that you're not trying to, you're not getting to that last boss and you're looking at the strategies and you go, oh God, I've already used all these pets.
Right. They're all dead.
Right. They're all dead. And some people have a workaround where they, say, oh, if you log out quick enough and go to an alt, you can heal and log back in. But, I mean, it doesn't always work. And then you're dumped out of the dungeon and you've got to start all over again.
Yeah. Well, cool. Those sound fun. I haven't done one yet.
They're
stressful.
They're kind of long. So the first dungeons, you're going almost through the entire dungeon, like Wailing Caverns. You're going almost all the way, like walking all the way through the dungeon to the back.
Right.
And then same for Dead Mines. Celestial Tournament's different. Like, it's all kind of in that, just a small arena. You're just kind of moving between the trainers. And then, let's see, what's the next one? Sorry, there's a few.
No, you're fine.
Nomergon, that one probably takes the longest, I would say, out of all of them, because you're moving all the way through Nomergon. And then Stratholm is the second to last one we got. And obviously you're going in, you're fighting a lot of undead pets.
Right.
And the most recent one is Blackrock Depths. So that one is kind of funny because it's just like the Celestial Tournament. You're not really moving very much. But what they did in Stratholm and Nomergon before BRD is they added like a storyline almost.
Oh, that's interesting.
So they added a storyline and it got me my one title that I use, because I don't generally use titles on any of my characters. But at the end of BRD, you can choose to join these, agents of chaos or whatever that are, wreaking havoc in the pet battle world. and you get a Minions of Mayhem title.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's the
like
one
that.
title I have on my main is I'm a Minion of Mayhem.
That's way cool.
Yeah.
Well, nice. Now you mentioned Zufus.
Yep.
Now let's dive into that a little bit. So you are a content creator there. What is your role for the website?
So my main role is I'm the news writer. So all the articles that you see coming up on the main page that aren't from the technical aspect from Aranesh, those are going to be from me. I post a lot of, especially right now with Shadowlands, posting a lot of the Shadowlands updates and everything. That's been monopolizing a lot of my time right now.
Right.
But content creator just means that I'm a one of the main contributors when we have new fights coming out. I'm making strategies. I'm on the PTR. I'm on the beta, trying to come up with strategies before it releases on live so that they're good to go for when the mass of people are going to come through and look for strategies. And then I'm also a curator, which basically just means that if someone comments on a strat saying it has a problem, I go check it out, see if it is a problem. If the person who made the strategy hasn't been on the site in a while, generally the curators will fix the strategy to make sure that it's workable, because we don't want people to come onto the site and have all of these strategies that just don't work and everything. I mean, so... But if they seem like they're on regularly, we'll put it in a comment. We'll be like, hey, these are my observations of the fight. Here's what I noticed. Fix the problem or my suggestions. And at that point, we're just like, well, let's hope they change it.
Let's hope it goes through. Yeah, that's cool. Now, when you're doing these testing sessions, what's your approach to that? Like, how do you? I mean, because you're dealing with stuff that's brand new.
Yeah. So basically, what I do, it's going to depend on the fight. So if it's because we have two different kinds of fights. You've got the 3 tamer fights, where basically you have the tamer, you've got their team, and it's your 3 against their 3. Or you have the single pet fights, where you're just facing one pet. The single pet fights are by far the easiest, right?
Right.
You can kind of go, like if it's a beast pet, because I know one of the new fights in Shadowlands is against a single pet and it's a beast. And it's like, well, let's bring in the Iron Starlet, because the Iron Starlet has a really big hit mech ability, which is going to do a lot of damage against the beast. And, I was able to kill it in 3 hits.
Right.
So... single pet fights are easy because you've got 3 pets to fight this one pet.
Yeah.
Pretty much at that point, it's just like, well, just hit buttons that are going to hit it hard, and you're pretty much going to be okay.
Smash it down. Life is good.
Yeah, and they tend to have a lot of health that you've got to eat through. So another popular strategy for that is like Doombird. So Doombird's basically, the Unborn Valkyr with Icky, where you use Curse of Doom, Haunt, Unborn Valkyr dies, Icky comes in, Black Claw Flock, and then they die.
And then it's over. Yeah.
And then it's over. 3 tamer fights, generally my approach is I will start the fight to see, what they have. Because especially, with beta testing right now, Wowhead will kind of tell you, some of the stuff from their data mining.
Right.
Not always 100% reliable, because I don't know some of what they're pulling their stats from, but the stats aren't always accurate.
Right.
So what I do is I'll just start the fight, I'll get a look at what the team is, and I'll look at the enemy's abilities, because there are add-ons that will allow you to see the enemy's abilities as well.
What they can do to you. Yeah.
Which is really handy when you're doing testing. So I'll look at all that, and then I'll kind of grab some pets that will do strong damage against their pets, and just kind of run through that fight just to get a feel for what their pets are doing, what order they're doing the moves in, and then I can kind of come up with a counter for that.
Right.
on one of the fights, the 3 pet fights in Maldraxxus from, I think it's Dudley Sticky Fingers.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so the first pet that comes in it basically looks like a giant bone shard. Mm-hmm. And all 3 of his ability slots are Bone Storm. So Bone Storm's something that does AoE damage to your entire team, but at the end of him doing that, he takes a certain percentage of damage to his health. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, I see that, and I think, well, I can either stun him to get him out of the way, and I can, hit the team with AoE damage so he dies on the back line, and I don't have to deal with him hitting my team for AoE. Mm-hmm. Or I can make it so that he can't hit my team. So what I did was I grabbed a Sneaky Marmot, a speed breed, and I threw Blinding Powder at him, which means that he's 100% blinded. He can't hit any of us for anything. Mm-hmm. And what's nice is because when your pet's faster for things like dodge and Blinding Powder, you almost kind of get a bonus round. Because it only lasts 1 round, but if you're faster than the other pet, you kind of get it for 2 rounds.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so basically I threw Blinding Powder at him, and he did his Bone Storm, didn't hit us. And then because I was faster, the next round he didn't hit us either. I hit him once with, Chomp, which is a critter ability, which does strong damage against undead enemies, which is what he is. And then I used, I think it's Smoke Bomb, which also protects my entire team from damage. And at that point, when he used the 3rd Bone Storm, he was dead because of the Bone Storm damage and my damage, and that was it. And none of my team took any damage on that one. Right. So it's just kind of seeing what the team's doing, and then kind of thinking, how do I want to counter this so that it's in my favor?
Right. Oh, that's cool. That's a great insight, because I always wonder how folks like you do the testing, and you're like, hey, you should probably use these guys. And I'm like, no, I'm using these guys. Yeah. And then I go back, you're right.
I think we established that with the Covenants, right? The min-maxing, where you're like...
Yeah.
I know you said this, but I'm going to go in the other direction.
I'm doing this, dang it.
And then you kind of shuffle back like, oh, okay, I guess.
You were right. My apologies. That's so awesome.
Yeah, and it's another thing, just like in life, where the more you do it, the more you get a feel for it, because I was the same way. I didn't get into any of this until toward the end of Legion. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at some of these strategies, and I'm going, these people are magic. I don't know how they're coming up with this. Like, it's insane. How do they know that this would be... And, it's like, I mean, some of the strats really do seem like magic when you see how they work and how they play out. And then, but once you start doing them a lot, you can kind of go, oh, I see. That's why you chose that there. Or that's why you didn't do this here.
Right.
And so it's just practice.
Yeah, you start learning the abilities, and now here's this one thing. Okay, we're doing that. Now I know this counters that. Putting the pieces together.
Yep, it's a puzzle.
Learning. Very important. Well, cool. Well, that is awesome insight. I love that. And what is the website for Zufus, just so we can get that out there?
So it's wow-petguide.com.
Perfect. Yeah, so go there, folks. It's pretty in-depth. Like, I checked it out, and there's a lot of good information on there.
Yeah, I think we're somewhere around 9,000 strategies on the site.
Yeah.
You can't give an exact number because the counter for the strategies will be in the URL, and that'll keep going up even if we delete strategies.
Oh, okay.
So it's sitting somewhere in the area of 9,000, and by my last count, I think I'm getting close to 900 of those being mine.
That's cool.
I get on kicks sometimes. Like yesterday, I made like 6 or 7. Yeah, so I'm at 839 of those.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Like I said, this is pretty much all I do in the game.
But you're helping others. Like, you're doing the community a great service. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I went there and I think I found the critter lineup. Not the critter line. You know what I mean? Like, what does better damage versus the others?
Yes.
I went there and found that, and that helped in one of my fights. But I did it on accident. Like, I don't know how I found it.
I found it through, I was getting so frustrated. So what set me off on this whole thing was I just decided, I'm going to go do the Fell Beasts of Argus achievement, which is basically fighting all of the Argus battles with the specific families. And there was one fight. It was Gloamwing on Aquatic, which is hard because it's a flying pet, and they do strong damage against aquatic pets.
Right.
And at that point, I had just been using Wowhead, and it's really kind of hard to go through the comments on Wowhead and find good, reliable strategies, just because generally the people aren't coming back through if something changes.
Right.
Or if someone gives feedback. And so at that point, I had just kind of been cobbling things together. Like, okay, that's what they have. I have this. It's kind of similar. Let me see if this works. And it had worked up until that point. But that was the point where I, got into the breeds.
Right. Needing
specific breeds for different pets and realizing I don't have like any of the right breeds for anything apparently. So I was like, okay. I did another search for the fight, and that's when I came across Zufus, and I was like, oh my god, this page is a godsend.
Yeah. Minds are blown.
Exactly. Everything I need is right here. And started doing more, so I made some of my first strats for the Argus fights, and so that's kind of where like the Dragons After Dark origin story begins. As I started out there, and yeah, I was posting a lot on the site, and that's when Aranesh was like, "Hey, you're pretty active on the site. I see you trying to help people, commenting on strategies with what you see, and what might work better. Do you want to be a part of the team?" And in about, at this point, because like you said, it's, August 16th? So in about 10 days will be my 1 year Zufus anniversary.
Well, cool. Well, congratulations on that. You've blown my mind tonight, that's for sure.
It's a lot of information for people, like, just coming in and getting it put into ways that aren't going to like overwhelm people can be difficult sometimes, because you're like, you want to tell them all this stuff so that they start off doing really well, but at the same time it's like, gotta rein it in a little bit. It's a lot of information.
It's gotta eat it in chunks.
Exactly.
Well, and it's interesting because a lot of the perception out there is like, oh, it's just dumb pet battling. Pet battling's so dumb.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's actually in depth. Like, it's a deep strategy based game if you really want it to be that way. Like, it's not just dumb pet battling.
The real challenges come in with like the pet dungeons, not being able to heal, and then the family fights, because you get certain tamer teams that are wrecking a certain family, and so they can be a little. You got to get kind of really strategic with some of them. Yeah,
you got to get creative. That's super cool. Well, that's going to lead us here to one of my favorite parts of the show. Not everyone has these moments where you did something so incredibly dumb, where you're just like, wow, how did I let myself do this? But what is your favorite all-time scrub moment?
Going back to the very beginning, probably one of the very first raids I was in, it was probably Karazhan, because we were a small guild. We ran Karazhan a lot. And while I had been playing the game for a little while at that point, just computer knowledge in general, not my thing. And someone got me with that, Alt F4 will fix it.
Oh, no.
And I was not the only one in that raid to get pulled into that. But yes, they got me with the Alt F4 and my screen disappeared and I'm like, what happened?
What just happened?
And of course, because, you're in Vent, because back then it wasn't Discord, it was Vent.
Yep.
And you just hear everyone, from all the people who just suddenly left the raid because they got disconnected.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, it's probably one of the ones that sticks out most in my mind. It's like, it's a learning experience. We're going to label that a learning experience, and we're going to move on.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I love that. And that's how we learn. You do those things, you learn, and then you get someone with the Alt F4 the next time. It's just a never-ending
it's a
cycle of doom.
Cycle of learning. There you go. We're just teaching you how to be better players.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so funny. Well, cool. Well, do you have any final thoughts, tips, tricks, anything you want to throw out there?
I think my best suggestion for pet battles is don't be afraid to ask questions. It's a really, really nice, welcoming community. I can't speak for the PvP section because PvP is the same across the board. No matter where you're going in the game, PvP players are going to be PvP players. But the rest of the community, I can say for sure, incredibly welcoming, always willing to answer questions if you have them. And there are a few Discords. Mm-hmm. So, Warcraft Pets has a Discord. Zufu's has a Discord. And even the Secret Finders has a Battle Pet channel. And because the WoW community is a worldwide community, especially on the Discord servers, there's always someone awake who's willing to answer your questions no matter how stupid you may think they are. They're not. We're always happy to either, answer the questions, point you to a guide that we know is helpful. Mm-hmm. And if I'm on and I don't know the question, I will either, I'll ping someone who I think knows the answer, or I'll try to help you find the question. I'll try to help you hunt it down to see if we can both figure it out, and then I have that answer ready to go for next time.
Oh, that's cool.
So just don't be afraid to ask questions, especially it's a really nice community.
Yeah. Well, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly.
And the only way to find that information is either A, you like to read a lot, yeah, and go through many web pages, or B, just throw it out there. Our communities are freaking amazing. Just from, even in my experience, with podcasting, I met so many awesome people, Jin, for example, from Morally Gray. Mm-hmm. He taught me a whole bunch of but macro stuff. And, I've had my guildmates on, and we talked tanking, and we were talking healing with Burkhardt, for example. And there's just so many awesome people out there that have a nice wealth of knowledge, and they're more than happy to share. Heck, I'm happy to share what I know with anybody who asks. And when I play the game, I go through and I will help you from the second we start until it's done, even if I've finished it or I've done it 17,000 times or whatever. But that's just who I am, So if you're out there and you're afraid and thinking oh man, these creators are going to be, they're above me. It's we're just people. We just want to hang out and have fun. It's a game.
And you can't make a creator any more happy than asking them questions about the field that they're creating in.
Exactly.
When I went to BlizzCon, I got to meet Frasley and a whole bunch of people, and we stood there and they just asked me questions for almost an hour about pet battles, and I was more than happy to talk about it, because that's pretty, like I said, it's all I do in the game, and I love it, and I love talking about it.
Yeah, and that's awesome, and that's, I don't know. That's why I do this podcast, is to help find those people, to connect you, the listener, breaking the fourth wall down, to these folks who want to help you play this game the best you can play it. And on your terms, too. It's not, if you have an idea or something else, bring it to us or, to Dragons, and let's dive into it, Let's have fun.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
It's the whole point of the game, right? Is to have fun.
Exactly. Well, it's game, right?
It should be, yeah.
Game equal fun.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, unless it's like Monopoly or something, then it's...
Well, then it's, victory or death, and that's
right.
all there
and
is.
It's PvP at that point.
Right, yeah. That's what we're straying into PvP.
Well, cool. So where can we find you on the internet?
So I am on Twitter at... Where's my handle? I think it's DragonsAfterDark, or you can just search DragonsAfterDark. I think I'll come up with that as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm on Twitter. Like I mentioned, I'm on all the Discords, so I'm a moderator in the Warcraft Pets Discord. Obviously, I'm a moderator in the Zufu's Discord. I'm in the Secret Finders Discord. I'm in Hazelnutty's Discord. I'm in a whole bunch of Discords. So, pretty much, you just kind of do a search for Dragons After Dark, and I think I'm mostly what will come up. There's a YouTube channel that'll come up as well, but they have spaces between their names, and I had the name. I had the name first.
The OG.
Yeah. And I'm on Twitch. I stream randomly. I don't have a set schedule, but I'm on Twitch as well.
Cool. Well, heck yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining me. That was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Like I said, I love talking about pet battles, so.
And thanks for listening to the show, everyone. You can find more information about the show at www.scrubsversetheworld.com. You can find us on Twitter at ScrubsVerse. And you can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Cyrub. That's CYRUB. Wherever you are out there, I hope you're having a great day. And as always, keep getting good.
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.